as if we are working for the Lord, up to and including a box, putting a table, making the cards, all of that. Right? Because the Lord, therefore, is glorified. But Paul, in the book of Ephesians, he starts the book, the first 3 chapters of the book, it talks about God's purpose for the church. Redemption of pride in Christ, the inheritance in Christ, the resources in Christ, new life in Christ, unity in Christ, and God's fullness for the church. In the last 3 chapters, it talks about God's plan for faithful living. Right? So you have the first 3 chapters that are full of doctrine. And the last 3 chapters are full of Christian application. So you have God's plan for faithful living, God's pattern and principles for members, God's standard for our faithfulness, walking in love, living in the light, walking in wisdom and sobriety, God's Spirit-filled children, like husbands and wives. Husbands, how you treat your wives. Wives, how you treat your husbands. Children, parents don't aspirate them. Children obey your parents, right? And then finally, employees and employers. They call them slaves and masters in the Bible. All of that is important, but one of the verses that Paul writes in chapter 5, verse 21, is this. It should be up on your screen real quick. I'll read it. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. We go through this life. It's hard. Is there anybody here that has an easy life? It's not. It's not an easy life. Whether we are the ones who make it hard or whether somebody else makes it hard, it doesn't make any difference. It's not an easy life. And so, as we are walking down this path, we have to remember what Paul says. That we are to submit ourselves out of reverence for one another? No, that's not what it says. You are submitting yourself out of reverence for Christ. You're treating each other well because of Christ. Not because anybody is necessarily good or bad or indifferent to you or you to them. We need to walk the walk that Christ walked. We need to submit to one another. That love that Christ demonstrated for us. He demonstrated it so well. How many do that? How many get caught up in this world? How many can turn on the news at night and get depressed, worried, angry? How many allow their health to get in the way of how they treat you? I'm not saying, please don't let me be misunderstood. I know there's pain. I know there is. And I wish that I could tell you I was nice all the time, but I'm not. We all have good days. We all have bad days. We all have aches and pains. My cousin, she sent me a text a few weeks ago. She said, I can tell how older I am with the number of sounds I made getting up. I thought that was pretty good. I can relate. But at the same time, even though we are full of aches and pains and moans and groans and everything like that the flesh throws at us, it doesn't take our responsibility away from counting the good things that we have and then the good opportunities that we have to make somebody's day a better day. I guess I got to tell you, when I wake and I'm grouchy, and Gina has this plaque in her bedroom, something about waking up next to grouchy. I don't remember it, but it kind of fits me. It kind of hits me some days. And so I have those days that I feel grouchy and painful and all of that, and I really have to pray to the Lord. And say, God, the flesh is really knocking hard today. Help me not to be grouchy. Help me through this pain. The pain is real. The pain is real. I don't believe that pain is necessarily in over head. It's real. It's real. And the quicker that we understand that it's real, the better that we are in dealing with it. And it doesn't hurt to ask someone to pray with you or for you, right? So many times our pride gets in the way, and we think, wow, nobody really wants to pray for me. Nobody really cares. And I disagree. It's those times that the flesh comes in. It just tries to hold us back from being filled with the Spirit of the Lord and submitting to one another as in reverence to Christ. So, we have to submit ourselves every day. Submit ourselves to one another out of reverence for Christ. To Paul, while Ephesians 5:22 through 6:4, while they are wonderful verses, if you haven't read them in a while, do so. It really helps in your daily walk. In dealing with relatives, dealing with kids, dealing with wives, dealing with husbands, just dealing with life. But Paul goes on in 6:5-9 to say this. Slaves. Now, slaves are those who are working for others. Obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them, not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly, as if you were serving the Lord. Because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. And masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours in heaven. And there is no favoritism with him. Pretty powerful stuff. Pretty powerful stuff. You see, in my lifetime, I have been a manager most of my life. I mean, from 17 years old, I had the responsibility of people and jobs and so forth. And I wish that I could tell you that I followed this to the letter for the past 41 years. But I haven't. I've made my mistakes. The Lord has shown me those mistakes and has allowed me to repent and grow. But I think that we, as we're going through this life, whether we be masters or whether we be slaves, workers or bosses or managers or whatever, whether in a paid capacity or whether a volunteer or in retirement, the same principles apply. The same principles apply. Because we need to remember who's watching. We need to remember that the Lord is watching over all of us and how we treat one another. You know, there's times when, I can tell you, I necessarily didn't treat someone very nice or got angry or I was grouchy or whatever. And if you're like me, if you've done that, and you're like me, you really feel bad, don't you? Is there any time that you ever felt good about that? Let alone whether they deserved it or not. But I really felt bad because I didn't allow the Lord to use me. I allowed the flesh to take over. And I don't think that necessarily, I know that it didn't turn out the way it could have. And so reading these scriptures and thinking about this time during Labor Day, I think is pretty valid. Because you see, we need to have the right behavior. When we're going through life, whether you're a slave or whether you're a master, you need to have the right behavior. You need to know that you are always on display. If you profess to be a Christian, and then you go out and you are known for the amount of profanity you can use throughout the day, I question your sincerity of being a Christian. Or if you're treating people rudely and full of anger, almost the borderline of hatred, it's not consistent with the Scripture. So we have to be on guard. We have to have that right behavior in order for people to see Jesus in us. We also have to have the right attitude. Now, that attitude is very, very close to behavior. But we have to be willing and gracefully submitting to the Lord. We have to be in prayer at the very beginning of our day to help the Lord give us the right attitude. It's the mind portion of behavior, right? Because we learned through the last several weeks with worship that if our hearts are evil, then our behavior will be evil. But if our hearts are full of good, our behavior will be full of good. So it goes in dealing, the same thing goes with dealing with one another. So our attitudes have to have a basis for a good heart. Thirdly, we have to have the right commitment. A Christian's primary concern about their job is not simply to do well and being committed to doing their best. You have to be Spirit-filled. You have to have practical results, creating a sense of reliability, productivity, and cooperation. You know, your boss or the people that you're working for, they want certain things done, and they have to have certain things done. Again, whether it be volunteer or whether it be at the job. And so you as an employee, me as an employee, I have to be mindful of what those things are. Now, at the same time, with my boss now, not Gina, but my boss at work, there are times that I don't understand his thought process. And so I have the responsibility to come back and say, I don't understand. Let's talk about that. But we do it in a way that's polite. And it's driven to accomplish things. So that the opportunity is that I can see Christ in him. He's a Christian man. And hopefully he can see Christ in me. So, all of that is very, very important, including a right motive. Our motivation should be that your behavior, attitude, commitment should work together to shine, so to glorify the Father, just like Jesus was. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 16, it says this, and I love this verse, probably one of my favorite verses. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. You know, this scripture, I believe, is the theme of Jesus' life. He was constantly working to glorify the Lord. And he wasn't ashamed of it. That's the beauty part of this. He wasn't ashamed of being his Father's son. Oh, he used it strategically in some cases, and that's okay. But how much more should we, as co-heirs of Jesus Christ, how much more should we be willing and desiring to shine our light so that it glorifies the Father? You know, this Labor Day we got so many things going around us, so much hatred. There was a shooting just yesterday in Texas. All the way down today, we listened to Campbell Wax, and there's a big funeral today. See, there's an Illinois state trooper that was shot and killed by cervical warrant a few weeks ago. And he's going to be buried today. Funeral procession, wake, and all that. But you know, the most significant thing about that is all the news stations around St. Louis. You know, it's a popular person. He was a state trooper and so forth. But they dug into his life. And they talked about his church and how much he was involved in his church. Oh, he wasn't an elder, or he wasn't a deacon, or anything like that. Is that what he said? Or didn't report? But they talked about the fact that he was always helping people, always doing something in the church, and always helping the community. They gave dozens of examples. Everyone pointed to Christ. We talked to his pastor in a live shot right after it happened. And his pastor said that, they asked him, what are you going to remember Nick? His name was Nick Hopkins. What are you going to remember Nick by? He said, I'm going to remember Nick by the fact that he served the Lord through his services. Everybody helped him do it. So they're estimating that there will be tens of thousands of people. They're going to line the street today. From Waterloo to Columbia and back to Waterloo. That is a testament to Christ. I'm sad that Nick died. I did not know Nick. I'm sad. Tears came to my eyes a couple of times when we were talking about it. But at the same time, it gave me an opportunity to praise God for him. Praise God for him. Because the townspeople have done the same thing. We had a few people that came and put a wreath on a squad car. And apparently this thing is just full of flowers. It's engulfing the car. And they talked about how much of a light he was in the community. How much of a light he was as a state trooper. And all the time, it was just reflecting on the Father. That's what Labor Day is all about, folks. Yeah, okay, you may have your last hot moment of the season, and some of us we may not wear white pants anymore. Until Memorial Day. But Labor Day is about showing your love for the Father through the labor that you do. Whether it be in this church, or whether it be outside of the church. Because it's all inclusive. Last Sunday, we had a meeting right after. And it was all your leaders, deacons, ministry team leaders, elders. And we talked about leadership in this church. And it was really, really good. You should be very, very secure and proud of the leaders that are here amongst you. But I asked Rex, he told me something before the meeting that I asked him to share. And I don't want to embarrass him, but I asked him to give examples. Correct me, Rex, if I'm wrong. Okay? But we had a team of ladies that came and cleaned up the library last week, right? That's what you said, right? There were 8 more people at Bible study, a total of 8 who came. And there was something else I can't remember. But the bottom line is that people are serving in this church. There's been an influx of people that are serving. And folks, that's what the Lord wants. That's what the Lord desires. He looks down from heaven. He's got to be smiling. He's got to be smiling. He's got to be proud of you. You know, back when I was a young man, I had some false teaching that was told to me. And it's that you can never ask God for anything that will benefit you. One. And you should never expect anything from God when you are serving. Since I have grown and I've gone through Bible classes and did some preaching a time or two, I can tell you that's false doctrine. It's false doctrine. Because I think that asking God for Him to help you, to bless you, if you do it in the right vein, so that you can go out and help and bless other people, I think He loves it. Solomon did it. Solomon did it, right? And God asked him, what do you want? And he asked for wisdom, so he could go and lead his people in the correct way. He asked wisdom for himself. And the other thing I think is that whenever I'm serving, I want God to be pleased. I want God to know it. Right? I want God to know it. Because if He knows it, then He knows me. He knows what I'm doing. So I'm not going to be any part of that chapter 7. I keep repeating. So when we go and we labor, whether it be for slave or as a slave or you're a master, make sure you're doing it the right way. Make sure you have the right behavior, the right attitude, the right commitment, the right motivation. And if there's anything that stops you from that, look at yourself first. Look at your flesh to make sure you're not the one standing in the way. Because after all, we do not want to give the devil more credit than we give. So as we approach tomorrow, this afternoon, let's remember that the Labor Day is special for those that have labored in our past. It's just vitally important that you do your labor to be right for your mind, to glorify the Lord, so that He will be pleased with you and others will see Jesus in you. Kind of a simple sermon, really. Nothing too deep. But I think it hits home. Get home with me. I have to remind myself quite often of some of these principles. So you pray for me as I pray for you. Let's stand.